two. It's all blended up in one big mix, for better or worse.
Now, this one looks a little bit familiar.
It's interesting.
That one seems to have some real dimension. This is great that we have a photographer that pulls back, gives us a wide frame, then locks us back into this.
The guy knows how to do it, and this is something that people should try to do if they're in a similar situation. Get the broader view and then
focus in.
And also when you do focus, try not to get out of focus, because people get so excited that they over zoom, and
make sure you have that cassette in your camera before you start filming.
And when you over zoom, you'll get all kind of distortions.
And the easiest thing
we'll
to
see
imagine
some of them
is somebody
later.
getting very excited and blowing a great photographic opportunity.
It's understandable. Yeah.
Big city.
Rio de Janeiro. Yeah.
You've been there, right?
I've been there. Yes. It's over 10 million people.
Wow. That's bigger than our own fair city of New York.
Well, probably 12 or something by now. Who knows? It's a very large place. Yes, I gave some UFO lectures there back in around 1986.
That is very intriguing.
It looks. First you think, well, it's the moon, but then when you get the close-up, it does not look like the moon. It's not moving though, but. Like many of his footages, I just don't know what to make of it.
Sometimes that's the best thing we can say. We don't know what it is.
It's nice to explain something, but if you can, but you have to always be realistic also on the explanations. If they fit the facts, then fine. But if you're stretching the facts in order to explain something, then that's really not scientific either.
Oh, indeed.
And it's very common. Unfortunately, many people will stretch the facts to explain something from which they're uncomfortable with.
Yeah, it's one of really the hallmarks of what separates, for me, the most credible people in our field from ones who are kind of gadflies or cultists or mystify this material tremendously. There seems to be a need in the human psyche to explain and understand everything we see.
Right.
And the fact is, we live in a world with a lot of mysteries. And sometimes understanding is the booby prize. Oh, that's it.
Yeah, I think this is a short one.
And
it is odd.
Again, it's not a comet or something. It's moving up.
Yeah. No, definitely not a comet.
Another bit of Japanese footage coming up.
Yeah, well, of course, the Japanese manufacture the cameras, so
they've got them.
They do have there are even many more footages that are not in this collection. But I've been in Japan several times because I did some projects there, including even involving UFOs. And in fact, some of the Japanese cameramen that we'll see later in this various tapes. I met them personally, and I will discuss them when we get to that.
Well, there's also no question that the Japanese overall have a tremendous interest in this.
They love the phenomenon. They even have a museum, although it's mostly space, but it's called the Cosmo Aile Hakui. It's in the city of a small city called Hakui, and the museum itself is shaped like a flying saucer. And like I said, most of it is space vehicles, from the Russian and American programs. But they do have a section on UFOs, and they do have archives.
Isn't there even a UFO political party?
Yes, correct. In Japan, they have what they call the mini parties, mini issue parties. They have one for sports and, feminism and whatever. And they do have one for UFOs. I met the guy. It's called the Japan UFO Political Party.
Can you imagine how that would divide American politics?
Well, some people have tried here. They've done rallies in front of the White House and things like that. But the Japanese are a little better organized in that sense. And they say, well, let's go with what the system offers. And they did create this party. Of course, the guy was trying to get elected to the Diet. The Diet is not something to eat, but it's a Congress, right? The Parliament in Japan. And unfortunately, he didn't get elected, though. But he did get a lot of exposure, and I think that was his original goal.
Also, people like us heard about it. I mean, it was international news for folks in the field, and maybe a model for some of the future in politics.
And it's just pretty interesting footage, this one, actually.
Yeah.
Because here we see, the Russians coined this term called polymorphism,
right?
Which basically means an object changing shape. And that's a pretty good example of that. and it's rare to get it on camera.
Here's this another fixed camera view. This is a security camera, and watch what's going to fly by here.
Right.
It's almost egg-shaped.
Yeah, there's several of these. Later, we'll see one, even a weather camera.
Fascinating.
Same thing. More from Japan.
There we go. That is not a UFO. That is a Japanese channel.
No alien.
No. Okay.
Here you see the people obviously pointing.
All right.
Oh yeah, this is known as the Hamazaki video. It's quite well known. It's one of the best known of the Japanese videos. I think Bruce Maccabee did quite a bit of analysis of that one.
Okay, Mexico. Coming into the end of the 80s here.
Yeah, Tepoztlan, an area in central Mexico where there has been many sightings, and it's also the place where this contactee Carlos Diaz lives.
Right, who I last heard speak at the United Nations. I guess that was about 2 years ago.
Yeah, it was actually
annex.
outside the church connected to the United Nations.
Right.
But this is not taken by him, though.
No,
This is,
and this is more in the form of the ones we've been seeing, where we have an elliptical object, not being subject to the will of the wisp of the wind, not moving like a conventional airplane, no seeming appendages. Although, again, if an aircraft is coming straight at you,
yeah, well, and we see
can
two
seem
things,
that.
right? And we see that bar
Lower left.
up there, too.
Yeah. Definitely two. Okay, back to Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, yeah, that area has also a lot of footage.
There we are.
Yeah,
dead center.
these little white balls,
Whoa.
there are many of them.
That's moving
and
out.
we will see many more as we go through this collection.
And even just that graininess of the clouds is enough to give us something to read the object against. Later in the evening, obviously, upper right. No, two of them. One, there it is.
Yeah,
left.
especially if they're moving, and if they're moving,
Whoa.
in some unusual way, it's indicative of something with intelligent control, right? On the other hand, if it's just wavering, then you're more inclined towards the balloon hypothesis.
Or unintelligent control.
Right.
Okay, right over the mountainside now. Good. Pulling back a bit. Something else
It's
coming
pretty-
in.
It's a long one.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're suddenly doing all kinds of movements. You see that type of movement going.
Small one seemingly coming out
A
toward the
balloon
right of
wouldn't
the
do that.
large
A
one?
balloon
No.
just wavers on the air, floats in the air.
Absolutely at the
And I believe that some footage that we will see later might be these little silvery balloons. So you have to be very attentive as to what the object does.
Yeah.